You're watching Defense Dynamics and I'm Danveer Singh coming to you from New Delhi. The future of air power is being shaped right now. As China races ahead with next-generation fighters, India is also exploring partnerships to enter the sixth-generation era. And at the same time, Russia has reopened the door to the Su-57 stealth fighter program, offering New Delhi a potential bridge between today's challenges and tomorrow's ambitions. And across the border, the lessons of Operation Sindoor are reshaping Pakistan's defense priorities. Islamabad has launched its most significant air defense and drone modernization drive in the airs, thus bringing Chinese missile defense systems and Turkish unmanned platforms into an increasingly complex regional security equation. And in my take, we examine a strategic contradiction at the heart of Indo-Pacific. That is, can Washington generally build India into a counterweight to China while continuing to sustain Pakistan's most advanced American origin combat capabilities? But before we get on to all these, here are the major global defense headlines.
Japan and Indonesia have agreed to begin discussions on defense equipment cooperation, including the potential transfer of Asagiri-class destroyers. The two countries will use a working-level framework established in May 2026 to examine training, maintenance and operational aspects of any future transfer. The move comes as Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force begins to phase out its Asagiri-class fleet. China's People's Liberation Army has conducted the first live fire trial of its new HQ-16 missile-based air defense system. The system demonstrates the ability to intercept multiple target types at ranges of up to 50 kilometers. It features a launcher vehicle carrying 6 missile pods mounted on a 6x6 truck supported by command and control and multi-function radar units. The US Department of State has approved a possible sale of Counter Unmanned Aircraft System or CUAS. This equipment for Kuwait is valued at approximately 1.98 billion US dollars. The package includes Anduril's Roadrunner M and Anvil Kinetic Interceptor unmanned aerial vehicles, Pulsar Electronic Warfare System, Sentry Surveillance Stars, Lattice Command and Control Software, and the Menace Tactical Operations Center. The Australian Army has conducted the inaugural live fire test of its locally built AS-9 Huntsman 155mm 52 caliber tracked self-propelled howitzer. The live firing was carried out by the 4th Regiment of Royal Australian Artillery, following a 6-week of training program at School of Artillery in Pukapunal, Victoria. The platform is being produced under a $713 million contract signed with Hanwha Defence Australia in 2021. The US Department has approved a possible $1.5 billion sale of 5 Sikorsky MH-60R helicopters to New Zealand under the Foreign Military Sales Program. Package includes advanced precision kill weapon system, precision guided rockets, Hellfire missiles and 7.62 mm machine guns. The acquisition is expected significantly enhance New Zealand's maritime surveillance and anti-submarine warfare capabilities.
The future of air warfare is already taking shape. As China flies prototypes of next-generation combat aircraft and the United States pushes ahead with its 6th-generation fighter programs, India is now looking beyond the 5th-generation era. The Indian Air Force has made it very clear. It wants a seat at a table in race for 6th-generation air dominance. But instead of building a completely new aircraft alone, India is exploring strategic partnerships with global programs. What does this mean for India's military future? Take a look.
The fighter aircraft of tomorrow may look very different from those flying today. Stealthier, smarter, faster, and perhaps no pilot on board at all. The Indian Air Force has formally informed Parliament that it wants to join an international sixth-generation fighter program, an acknowledgement that the future of air combat is arriving faster than expected. And the urgency is clear. China already has two sixth-generation prototypes reportedly in flight testing. For India, waiting may no longer be an option. Across the world, the race is intensifying. The United States is developing the F-47 under its next-generation air dominance program, while the US Navy is pursuing the FA-XX project. Europe, meanwhile, has split its ambition into two major programs. The first is Future Combat Air System, or FCAS, being developed by France, Germany, and Spain. The second is the Global Combat Air Program, or the GCAP, bringing together the United Kingdoms, Italy, and Japan. These are the two projects India is closely examining. But sixth-generation fighters are far more than upgraded aircraft. They represent an entirely new way of fighting wars in the air. These platforms are expected to combine extreme stealth, artificial intelligence, cyber warfare capabilities, advanced sensors, and network-centric operations into a single combat ecosystem. Future pilots may operate alongside autonomous drone wingmen. Aircraft could switch between manned and unmanned operations. Artificial intelligence could process battlefield information in seconds, dramatically shortening the time between detection and engagement. The technology is equally revolutionary. Advanced gallium nitride radars, variable cycle engines capable of balancing fuel efficiency with combat performance, long-range standoff weapons, and even directed energy systems designed to counter incoming threats. The goal is simple: dominate contested airspace before enemy even realizes the battle has begun. Yet India's decision is not just about technology. It is also about geopolitics and industrial strategy. Joining FCAS would deepen defense ties with continental Europe. Partnering with GCAP would strengthen cooperation with key Indo-Pacific partners like Britain and Japan. Whichever path India chooses, technology transfer, local manufacturing, and integration with India's defense ecosystem will be critical factors. The Indian Air Force wants more than aircraft. It wants access to technologies that will define air warfare for decades. At the same time, India is pursuing a parallel strategy. The indigenous Advanced Medium Combat Aircraft, or AMCA, continues to move forward, and negotiations for the acquisition of Russia's Su-57 could help bridge a capability gap until sixth-generation fighters become operational in the mid of 2030s. This dual-track approach reflects a simple reality. India cannot afford to fall behind in rapidly evolving air power competition unfolding across Asia.
So the decision facing India is therefore bigger than a fighter aircraft purchase. It is about securing a place in the next era of military aviation, an era where artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and networked warfare will determine air superiority. And as China accelerates its own ambitions, New Delhi's choices over next few years could shape the balance of power in the skies for generations to come. As India explores partnerships for future sixth-generation fighters, an old offer has returned to the table. Russian President Vladimir Putin has once again invited India to join Su-57 stealth fighter program. This time, not just as a buyer, but as a development partner. The proposal comes at a time when Indian Air Force faces a critical fighter shortage and also rising competition from China and Pakistan. So could the Su-57 become India's bridge to next generation of air warfare?
Nearly 2 decades ago, India and Russia set out on an ambitious journey. The goal was to jointly develop a fifth generation stealth fighter under FGFA program. But after years of negotiation, New Delhi walked away in 2018, citing concerns over costs, technology transfer, engine performance, and the aircraft's overall maturity. Today, that story may not be over. Russian President Vladimir Putin has renewed Moscow's invitation, signaling that India can still join Su-57 program. Speaking at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, Putin revealed that Russia had originally offered India the opportunity to co-develop what he described as one of the world's most advanced fifth-generation fighter technologies. At the time, India chose to wait and watch. Russia proceeded independently. But now, with the aircraft operational and production underway, Moscow says the door remains open, not just for procurement, but for joint production, upgrades, and future development. The timing of the offer is significant. The Indian Air Force currently operates around 29 fighter squadrons, well below its sanctioned strength of 42. Meanwhile, China continues to expand its fleet of J-20 stealth fighters. Pakistan is also expected to induct Chinese J-35 stealth aircraft in the coming years. The strategic environment is changing rapidly, and India is searching for ways to maintain its edge. The Su-57 represents Russia's answer to fifth-generation air combat. The aircraft combines stealth shaping, internal weapons base, sensor fusion, and super cruise capability. Designed for both air superiority and strike missions, the fighter is intended to operate in highly contested environments against advanced adversaries. Russia claims combat experience has helped redefine the platform, while production continues to expand for both domestic and export customers. What makes Moscow's latest proposal particularly noteworthy is its emphasis on technology sharing. Putin has reiterated that Russia imposes no political restrictions on military cooperation with India. According to Moscow, collaboration could include local manufacturing, upgrades, system integration, and access to critical technologies. For New Delhi, which increasingly prioritizes indigenous capability and domestic production, these promises could carry considerable weight. Yet the decision is far from straightforward. India's fighter modernization plan is already moving on multiple tracks. The Tejas Mark I Alpha program is expanding. Tejas Mark II is under development. The AMCA stealth fighter remains India's long-term indigenous solution. At the same time, Super Sukhoi upgrade program aims to transfer the existing Su-30 MKI fleet into a far more capable platform. And the long-delayed MRFA competition continues to seek a new generation of multi-role fighters. Any decision on Su-57 will have to fit into a broader strategic picture.
For India, the Su-57 debate is no longer just about buying another fighter aircraft. It is about managing a critical transition period. The AMCA may not enter service until mid of 2030s. China's stealth fleet is growing today, and Indian Air Force cannot afford capability gap in increasingly contested region. So whether New Delhi chooses to revisit Su-57 or pursue other options is for the government of India to decide. However, within the expert community and the strategic circles, the opinion appears to be divided. So now let's talk about different shades of opinion that are revolving around AMCA and Su-57. So let's first talk about those who are talking in favor of Su-57. So on the wall, I have got few pointers through which I'll explain that what they are trying to say. The first one is the squadron strength. As we are all aware, the approved squadron strength is of around 42. However, 29 exists. So there is a huge shortfall because there has been a lot of obsolescence of aircraft like MiG-21, MiG-27, and also Jaguar fleet, which is nearing obsolescence. Then we have the Chinese stealth fighters. We are already aware that Chinese are flying stealth fighters, J-20, J-35, and Pakistan is also interested in buying J-35, so that should be a cause of worry. Thereafter, we come to Su-57. Now, there is a very important point which this group is making, that Su-57 is available. It is available off the shelf. So basically, you can counter the Chinese and the Pakistani threat, or the Chinese stealth threat, so to say. And the best part of this particular option or the argument is that technology is available for transfer. This is the only technology that you're getting clean as transferable. Now, what are the points that the other group is saying, which says that we should not go in for Su-57? So what basically they are trying to tell is that we would be wasting money if we buy this aircraft. So let's focus purely on AMCA. Let's not divert our funds. Funds are very crucial, limited. So let's focus on AMCA. This is what their opening argument on the subject, or the strongest argument is. Then they are also questioning the stealth of this fabulous aircraft that we can see on the screen. So they are saying that the stealth of this aircraft is also questionable, because this aircraft was not designed initially to be operating like the F-22s and the Raptor. So there is a question over its stealth. Thereafter, they talk about the logistic burden. They say that if you bring in this aircraft, the logistic burden will increase, to which I disagree, because I personally feel that whichever aircraft you may buy, the logistics will of course get elaborated. So that's part of the whole game. So I don't think so it's a major issue. However, they also have a point that future is of 6th generation. So when future is of 6th generation, AMCA is being built as a 6th generation fighter aircraft. So why do we need a 5th generation aircraft that has not proved itself to the best in the parameters or the parameter scale of a 5th generation fighter aircraft? So these are the points that are given by the group which is not in favor of purchase of this particular aircraft. Now there has to be a middle path. That's what I think should be India's option, because let's not forget that even Rafale is a stopgap or the bridging gap between the fighter technology capability that is available with India. And similarly, as AMCA gets operational somewhere in mid-30s, so you have got good about 8 to 9 years of capability gap. So that capability gap can be bridged by this particular aircraft. So we should buy in, just like we bought the Rafale. So we should buy in Su-57 to bridge this capability gap. Meanwhile, we keep on developing our AMCA. So this is how we should try and balance the whole issue. The core disagreement, at its heart, the debate comes down to one question. Is the biggest threat to India is the absence of a stealth fighter today, or is it the risk of weakening AMCA by investing too heavily in a foreign stealth fighter? Those prioritizing the near-term China challenge are favoring the Su-57, while those prioritizing long-term self-reliance are in favor of putting everything available behind the AMCA. So that is the fundamental fault line running through the current debate inside India's air power community. Operation Sindoor may have ended, but its military lessons are still shaping decisions across the border. After the clashes of May 2025, Pakistan has launched a major effort to strengthen its air defense network and expand its drone warfare capabilities. Chinese missile shields, Turkish combat drones, and a new focus on protecting its skies from precision strikes. But what does this military buildup reveal about lessons Islamabad learned from Operation Sindoor?
Military conflicts do not end when shooting stops. They continue in the form of lessons learned. And according to intelligence assessments, Pakistan's latest procurement drive is a direct response to vulnerabilities exposed during Operation Sindoor. Islamabad is now investing heavily in new Chinese air defense systems and Turkish unmanned combat platforms in an effort to strengthen its ability to counter future aerial threats. At the heart of this effort is the creation of layered air defense shield. Pakistan is reportedly expanding the induction of China's HQ-9 long-range surface-to-air missile system. Designed to engage aircraft, cruise missiles, and certain ballistic threats, HQ-9 can target aerial targets at a range of up to 250 kilometers. Supporting this long-range layer are medium and short-range systems such as HQ-16 and HQ-17, creating multiple defensive rings intended to protect critical military and strategic infrastructure. The objective is clear: detect, track, and engage threats at every altitude and distance. But missile systems are only one part of the equation. Pakistan is also looking towards Turkey to enhance its drone warfare capabilities. The Pakistan Air Force is reportedly procuring Karayel unmanned aerial vehicles designed for intelligence, surveillance, and precision strike missions. Alongside them are Turkish loitering munitions, often called as kamikaze drones, which have emerged as highly effective weapons in modern battlefields from Eastern Europe to Middle East. These systems can linger over target area, identify threats, and strike with precision at the most opportune moment. The timing of these acquisitions is significant. During Operation Sindoor, India employed a range of standoff precision weapons capable of striking targets from extended distances. The use of advanced cruise missiles and other precision-guided munitions highlighted growing challenge posed by modern networked air campaigns. Military planners in Islamabad appear determined to ensure that future attacks encounter a far denser and more resilient defensive network. Strategically, the deployment pattern offers important clues. Chinese missile batteries are expected to strengthen Pakistan's air defense architecture facing India. Meanwhile, Turkish drones and loitering munitions are likely to be concentrated near sensitive sectors along the line of control. This combination provides both defensive surveillance and offensive strike capabilities, allowing Pakistan to monitor activity while maintaining the ability to conduct rapid tactical engagements. For India, these developments are neither unexpected or ignored. The Indian Air Force and Ministry of Defense have already accelerated efforts to modernize electronic warfare systems capable of disrupting enemy radars, communications, and missile networks. At the same time, India continues to expand deployment of the S-400 air defense system, strengthen indigenous Akash missile squadrons, and integrate advanced DRDO-developed counter-drone technologies. The contest is no longer just about aircraft, it is increasingly about sensors, networks, missiles, drones, and electronic warfare.
The military significance of Pakistan's latest acquisitions extend beyond individual weapon systems. They reflect a broader transformation in modern warfare. As future conflicts will not be fought by fighters alone, they'll involve layered missile defense, autonomous drones, and precision-guided weapons, and also electronic warfare operating simultaneously across multiple domains. And in the aftermath of Operation Sindoor, both India and Pakistan appear to be determined to adapt to this new reality. Washington calls it interoperability. India sees a strategic contradiction. The United States today sees India as a cornerstone for its Indo-Pacific strategy. From Quad to advanced defense cooperation, Washington increasingly describes India as a critical partner in balancing China's growing power. Yet, there is a contradiction that New Delhi cannot ignore. While America strengthens strategic ties with India, it continues to sustain Pakistan's F-16 ecosystem through upgrades, training, maintenance, support, and advanced battlefield networking systems. For Washington, this may be about preserving influence and maintaining interoperability. For India, however, it raises a fundamental question. Can the United States simultaneously build India as a strategic counterweight to China while keeping Pakistan connected to some of America's most sophisticated combat technologies. Because the issue is no longer about aircraft, it's about the system that powers the modern warfare. In modern warfare, technology transfer is not only a risk, it's an exposure that can be just as valuable. The real concern is not whether China gains access to classified American blueprints. The concern is whether China gains access to the behavioral pattern. Modern military systems reveal themselves through the usage. Data links reveal communication patterns, radar systems reveal search and tracking methods, and mission software reveals operational doctrine. Maintenance cycle reveals other vulnerabilities, and training systems reveal how a force prepares for war. So Pakistan today sits at the intersection of American, Chinese, and Turkish military technologies. Its F-16s operate alongside Chinese fighters, Chinese weapons, and increasingly Turkish drones. In such an environment, exposure itself becomes intelligence. And if there is one country that has mastered the art of learning through observation, it is China. The lesson is simple. A system does not always need to be stolen. Sometimes it only needs to be studied. The real issue is not what Pakistan gets. The real issue is what China learns. Operation Sindoor highlighted a new reality. Future conflicts will not be decided solely by fighters and missiles. They'll be shaped by networks, sensors, electronic warfare systems, drones, and data. Every radar signal emitted, every command transmitted, every drone launched, every interception attempted creates information that can be analyzed by an adversary. And this is why India's concern extends beyond Pakistan itself. The real question is whether America's Pakistan policy adequately accounts for Pakistan's deep military integration with China. Washington sees India as a strategic partner, but strategic partnership requires strategic consistency. If India is expected to anchor the balance against China, then the risk associated with sustaining advanced American combat systems inside China-linked military ecosystem cannot be ignored. Because in the age of network-centric warfare, the question is not simply who receives the technology, the question is who learns from it. Today's stories underscore a simple reality. Asia's military balance is changing rapidly. India is weighing Russia's renewed Su-57 offer while looking towards next generation of air warfare. Pakistan is rebuilding its air defense architecture after Operation Sindoor, and the US-China rivalry is increasingly shaping South Asia's security landscape. The technologies may be evolving, but the challenge remains the same. That is, maintaining military advantage in a more contested environment. So that's all for this edition of Defense Dynamics. Thanks for watching. Jai Hind.